Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It is hump day. I just realized it's Wednesday. The days are still blending. And I forget what day of the week it is unless it's like a weekend. But I wanted to pop on. I was talking with one of my dear friends yesterday, and we were talking about figuring out certain things that we really need to have in a sculpt, or things that we absolutely can't deal with in a sculpt. So it's like, okay, it brought up something that I've talked about a long time ago. I've talked about here and there about the importance of certain features or certain boxes that need to be checked in a dowel for me to be like really, really happy with them. And for me, the list is long. So therefore, over the years, I've become super, super, super picky. I think when I started out in this hobby, like most, I didn't know what I liked, wanted to experience everything, saw a picture, and if the doll was cute, really wanted it, and learned that with each doll that I experienced, I could figure out what was like the gotta have, must haves in a doll for me, and what are the things that I absolutely can't deal with or would make me sell the doll immediately. And I think for a lot of collectors, I think that's kind of part of the journey that we take in the hobby, is really discovering what it is we really love, what checks those boxes for each of us. And I think with every collector, it's different. Also, why it's so amazing, because there's so many things to choose from, because we all have different tastes, different things that really grab our hearts when we see these dolls. And I don't know, the conversation I had with my friend yesterday, I just thought it was a great topic to bring up. And I wanted to get all of your thoughts on this as well, because I know that as the community of doll collectors has grown so much over the years, that there are just so many different probably perspectives on the must-haves in a doll kit or silicone doll. It doesn't matter what type of medium, but like for instance, I'm going to share with you like some of the things that are like the must-haves for me. One of the biggest things for me is that the doll has to have bent legs. I learned this very early on and realized this when I kept trying to order these dolls that had like literally straight legs, no bend in them. And early on in the days of reborning, the doll kits weren't made like they are now, meaning there were less sculptors, there were less to choose from, and the choices were limited compared to what we have now. Like you have endless amounts of different types of kits in every shape, size, form, you name it. You have a plethora of different doll kits to choose from. Back when I started collecting, way back many moons ago, there were so few and limited choices that when an artist posted a doll on eBay for sale, like if the doll was cute, you bought it. It wasn't like it is now, where you had so many artists to choose from and you could send to have a doll made just how you want it. And it's just different now. There's just so much more available versus back when I first started buying reborn dolls. So I had the experience of, well, I thought the face was really cute. And as we all know, pictures don't show everything. Let's face it. And I would get said doll after purchasing it on eBay, because that's like the only place you could buy dolls at the time. So I would get a lot of these dolls and the proportions were off, the legs weren't right, and they were on not like, they weren't full limbs like they are now. Like a lot of the kits now are made with full limbs, full arms and legs, and you can dress them in a lot of the fun, cute clothes that you couldn't with a quarter limbed or 3/4 limbed doll, which was what most and basically all of them were for the longest time. And so your clothing choices were limited. It was harder to hide the cloth body on the doll, if that makes sense. Like, because we're always trying to cover up the cloth body. You know, we want them to make them look as realistic as possible. So I learned very early on there were certain things that I just couldn't deal with. Straight legs was one. It's just something like doesn't matter how like big the doll kit is. Like, I've even had a Saskia and that one has a straight leg. Didn't like that. So I've tried it over and over again, and I've realized that I just don't care for the straight legs on any medium doll. I really prefer to have them bent, and some of them were curled. And as you know, Monroe has a very curled up leg, and then we have little Eloise who has just nice bent legs. They're not extremely bent, but they're easy to pose, and they look how a baby would look laying. And so I learned that was the biggest thing early on. The second thing I learned also is that proportions are very important to me. Proportions of the limbs, proportions of like the head, like how big is the head compared to the body, depending on the age of the baby that's supposed to be portraying. That's really super important to me. It can be bypassed depending on whether they're bent arms and legs and such. Like with little Eloise, she has little short arms. Normally that would really bother me. But with this kit, because they're bent up like they are in the position they are, they don't really look too short. Even though I know proportionally for her body, her arms are way too short. Especially if you were to compare them to the length of the arms to the legs. Way too short. Doesn't bother me though, luckily, because they're bent and they're posed upright, so you can't really see the difference. So those are the things that are like super important to me. Other things can be the hair. Hair is very important to me. The painted eyebrows. Okay. This is one that's always kind of lingered around and can make or break a doll completely for me. Like, totally make or break a doll. If the eyebrows aren't, I don't know, even and placed naturally, or if they're too thick, like you know, as doll artists grew, they learned how to, you know, create better looking eyebrows. Early reborns they just didn't have the best eyebrows. I don't know what it was. I think they're very hard to do. I'm not an artist, so I can only imagine how hard it could be to get them very similar. And yeah, but because it's like, you know, focusing around the eyes, it's the first thing you look at is the doll's face. You know, the eyebrows have to look good for me. That, and then the ears was another thing. So I also noticed early on a lot of the sculpts, the ears were wonky. They were, it could be placement of the ears, it could be the shape or the sculpting of the ears, that you could see that certain artists had a hard time really sculpting a realistic ear. And so I've watched all of the artists evolve over the years and their sculpting become better and better, more realistic. And then we started seeing the, basically the copies or what do they call it? I'm trying to remember. It's like the 3D printing effect of a living baby, so that you saw that it was, you know, spot on because it was, you know, replicated after a real baby. But for a long time, it was only artists sculpting these dolls, and some were really great and some were just, you know, missed the mark a little bit, and, you know, fingers and hands and toes and feet weren't super detailed in the early kits, the early sculpts. So it's interesting how I've watched this evolve over the years, and looking at what was available to me then to compare to what is available now. Like, back then you kind of had to settle. You know, I had to settle and kind of hold on to dolls until I found one I liked better. But it is all part of the journey of figuring out what you really, really love and must have in a doll, and the things you can live with, the things you just can't deal with. And I just find it interesting because now, gosh, there's just so much to offer for every collector out there. There is such a huge option list of kits to choose from. It's crazy. It's wonderful. It's overwhelming because, like, if you're looking to have a doll commissioned by an artist, finding the kit, the right perfect kit that you think you're going to love when it's fully painted, that's a feat in itself, just picking a kit from all that's out there. And so I think it's, very cool how much there is for each collector to choose from now. It's just grown so much over the years that I don't know. I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I think we're so lucky to have so many artists to choose from, whether it be, the artist that sculpted the kit or the artist that's reborning your doll. I just think that it's grown. It's grown. I wish I could, people ask me all the time if it was like this back then. And it's like, no, not at all. We were so limited back when we first started collecting and reborns were a new thing. It was such a small community of people. Everybody knew everyone. This is why there's a lot of people that I know within the community, because I've just known them for years, because it wasn't always so big like it is now. Now, I don't know nearly as many people. There's so many new collectors coming into this community every day, I think. But it's also what makes it so much fun, because there's so many ways to enjoy with all the different social media platforms and everything. So it's just really evolved, and that conversation just really sparked me to think, I would love to hear what you guys is out there. You guys is? That's not a word. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, your must-haves, what must you have and what have you learned, no matter how long you've been collecting, what you really love, what maybe you don't love, and do you have those boxes that you need to check, for you to be really, really thoroughly happy, and do you sell them on when they're not, exactly what you're looking for, or do you keep them and just kind of add more new dolls to your collection as you grow as a collector, if that makes sense. I would really love to hear your input, and I know, all of my subscribers watching, they range from, new to older collectors that have been around for a while, and it's just interesting to kind of hear different collectors' thoughts on this, and I don't know, it just sparked a really interesting, reminder of a conversation that I've had before, and thought it'd be fun to share and hear other people's experiences. And yes, I know I'm a very picky collector. I think that comes with time. I think that doesn't mean everybody will become a super picky collector, because like I said, back when I first started collecting, I wasn't nearly as picky, or I don't know, maybe I want to call it refined, just to know what I really, really love. It took me a long time to figure out what I really need to have in a doll to really thoroughly enjoy my investment in the doll and not want to send it along to another, a new mom. So yeah, I'm lucky I've been able to find that over the years in a few dolls. I can say that I found some really amazing dolls to enjoy, but I feel like my journey's not over. I think it's, however long I choose to collect dolls, I will continue to learn more and more what I like. And as new features come out and sculptors keep getting better and better, just when I think that I can't fall in love with something better does come along. It does happen. It's kind of amazing how that is. There's always something new. Artists are always surprising us with new fun things that really tug at our heartstrings, and that's really what keeps us coming back for more. It's what's kept me coming back for more for such a long time. And it's the fun of it, really, honestly. So, yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback, guys. I'd love to hear your stories, your thoughts. Please feel free to share below. And it is dreary and cold and nasty outside, so Eloise is in her little Miss Dessa snuggle set. Favorite company of mine. I literally just ordered some face masks from the same company. They're doing face masks and they're beautiful prints, and so I've ordered some of those, and I think they're coming this week because they were on back order. And so I'm really curious and interested to see how those turn out, because I've got other face masks that I've ordered and had made. So we'll see how these turn out. They'll be pretty, that's for sure, because I love the floral prints, and that's what I chose for the face masks. But anyways, both babies are in their snuggle sets, and it is cold and rainy outside, so it's going to be, I don't know. I'm waiting for the sun to come back and the hot, warm weather to appear. So when that happens, they'll definitely be dressed appropriately. But I hope you guys are enjoying your week and doing well out there. And that's it for me. So we will see you soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.